Hey everyone, first off, on behalf of our sponsors and myself, let me thank you for a great year of downloads here on the free feed. And since it's the holiday season, we thought we would give you a few gifts. From now until the end of the year, we will release for free full Patreon episodes. This year, we will focus on episodes dealing with new books that might make a great last-minute holiday gift for the Gettys nerd in your family, or, let's face it, a gift for yourself. We hope you enjoy these episodes, get a hold of one or all of the books, and join our community over at patreon.com/addressinggettysburg. And that's also where you'll find this episode in its entirety. And to make it easy for you, the link is in the description. But act fast because they become patron-only episodes on January 1st. So from all of us here at Addressing Gettysburg to you and yours, happy holidays.
From the Gettysburg Museum of History Studios, you're listening to Addressing Gettysburg.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this episode of Addressing Gettysburg. And today we are talking about a book, another book. And this book is new, and it's called We Fought at Gettysburg, First-Hand Accounts by the Survivors of the 17th Connecticut Volunteer Infantry. It's written by our friend Carolyn Ivanoff, and it just recently came out. But I think I got my copy, I think, before it was released. Is that not correct?
Yeah, you got it from me. Yeah.
I want to make sure that I'm special, and I get mine.
Oh, you're so special, Matthew.
That's exactly the way my mother would have said it, very sarcastically, but and using my full name to let me know that I'm an idiot. So,
keep in mind,
I'm sorry.
Time she was a teacher.
She was a teacher. Yeah, I know. Right. She knows how to give it back. And that voice that you heard is someone new to Addressing Gettysburg, Jim Connery, licensed battlefield guide. Welcome, Jim.
Thank you.
We kind of snookered you into joining us here. You just came to observe because you're a friend of Carolyn, and I said, well, you're a guide. You're wearing the jacket. You got the hat. You're sitting in with us. So
Thank you.
Sorry to conscript you, but here you are. All right. What was it that made you want to write this book about this regiment?
Well, first of all, we're Fairfield County people, and it's a Fairfield County regiment in Connecticut. And for many years, I was aware that a lot of these guys lived among us, obviously long gone, but we knew where their houses were, and we knew a lot of their contributions to our towns and our county. And one day, a while ago, this is all in the book, a woman came up to Shelton High School, where I was working as a housemaster, and she brought with her 42 letters from a guy named Selah Blakeman, who ultimately lived in Shelton. And so that was my first real introduction to the 17th Connecticut. And I became fascinated. I did a program for the Historical Society. And I also went to the Bridgeport Public Library, which housed a 13-volume manuscript of many, many accounts that were gathered by William Warren, Private and Company C. And he wanted to write a regimental history and never did. And so this massive, sprawling 13-volume set, some of the volumes they're all bound. Some of the volumes are all handwritten. Some of them he actually tried to type in anticipation of publication. And one was a book with about 200 photographs that he had reprinted through the cyanotype process. If you remember when you were in art class, they would give you blue paper and you'd put leaves on it and, and you'd make a print. Well, that's how he printed these photos. So I was always fascinated by this. And over the years, went back and forth. Occasionally I'd look for something in the manuscript. And one day I was talking to a friend of mine, Kevin Drake, who is the head of Gettysburg Publishing. I've known him for a long time. And I said, hey, we're talking about Gettysburg. Of course. What else are we talking about?
Right.
So I said, hey, Kev, come on. What are you doing this afternoon? Let's go run down to Bridgeport Public Library and take a look at this manuscript. He said, you've never seen anything like it before. In fact, I don't think anybody's ever seen anything like it before. It's quite unusual. And so we go down there, and the archivist pulls out all the volumes. And it's a terrible mess. And we're looking at it, and he starts to flip through the pages. He's like, holy shit. And I'm like, yeah, really? And I said, this would make a hell of a book. And he goes, okay, why don't you write it? And I think that was 2017 or 2018. And he offered me a contract and was very patient with me. And it took me, I think, about 4 years to truly get something into the form you see it now. And then, of course, with the delays, the COVID delays and all of this, that certainly impacted the timeline. But ultimately, it's what you see here.
I've always wondered, and I don't, but I'm just curious. So when, I know, like, if you're, I don't know why Tom Brokaw, I don't know why that came to my mind. But if you're Tom Brokaw and you go to Simon & Schuster, they give you a contract. They also give you an advance.
Yeah.
Did they do that on the smaller publications, or is it just a
Absolutely not.
So it's a contract. You write this book on your own time. When you get it finished, we'll put it out there, and then once we've recovered whatever, then you get X amount, right?
Right. That's how it works.
Yeah.
Once he recovers his so I have to sell X amount of volumes before I even get a royalty.
Sure.
But I was amazed that anybody would, one, offer me a contract. I mean, I didn't have to go with my hat in my hand to anybody. He was on board with the project, which was remarkable. Mm-hmm. And as you can see by the volume, he really believed in the project and put an awful lot into it. There are about 400 pictures in the book, all of which are crisp and clean. The paper quality is excellent. He didn't cheap out on the paper.
No, not at all.
Very nice. Certainly could have. And I think he decided to go with a hardcover, which I was surprised about. And
it's a beautiful cover too.
Yeah, thank you. He gave me a lot of leeway in working. Obviously he has to work with somebody very professional, a cover designer, et cetera, et cetera. But essentially what you see here is what I wanted on the cover. And I was very lucky that he liked my ideas and decided to go with almost all of what I suggested. So I was pleased. I was really pleased beyond, I thought I was going to get a paperback and it was going to be,
chintzy.
But I'm also getting a lot of information from people. Book just came out. People who are looking through it that like it.
Yeah, they
really like it.
Yeah, well, it's very would the word be comprehensive? I think. I mean, if you just look here, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 appendices, then notes, bibliography, all that stuff. Even an about the author section.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yes, it's about 2 lines.
Right. Yeah. But like if you look at, so the appendices are Colonel Noble's history of the 17th Connecticut Regiment. Then Appendix B is the regimental roster. Appendix C is Major Brady's official report of the Battle of Gettysburg, July 4th, 1863. Appendix D is alternate maps for the Brickyard Lane deployment. Appendix E, who was William Warren? Appendix F, William Warren's photographic index of the regiment. So, it's like you can get a full picture of these guys, literally, with all the pictures.
Right.
But also, the story, the detail. I've read, we're basing this interview off of chapters 4 and 5.
Okay.
And, just chapter 4, you're given basically what they went through during the battle on the first day. And then chapter 5 are accounts from the guys.
In their own words.
Right. And it's, you said that they were edited, but they're essentially complete, right?
Yes.
Yes. It's not just like you're taking 2 or 3 lines from a larger account, like is often done. And you do that in chapter 4 to accentuate a point or something like that. But then we get to actually read them in context of what they wrote. And I like that because it's a fuller picture. And it's also, what's interesting to me is to see their perception of what it is they're witnessing and and certain things in relation to other units maybe, or generals or whatever, that they're observing as all this chaos is going on. It's really interesting.
I think thank you. I think I really want them to have their say, but I had to frame their remarks in a way that, and I didn't want, look, I know that there are going to be descendants reading this who know nothing about Gettysburg.
Right.
I know that there are going to be guys like Jim reading this who have comprehensive knowledge of the battle, and yourself. And so how do you frame firsthand accounts so that you appeal to everyone? Okay, a very broad spectrum. So the accounts are framed, as you mentioned. Chapter 4 is a summary of the first day, in which is interspersed some very brief quotes, and then chapter 5 is the voices of the first day. And so I didn't want to start like the Battle of Gettysburg is a 3-day battle, the biggest battle of the Civil War.
Fought over shoes.
We don't have to do that.
Right.
But I do think that you're right about this is from the bottom up. This is history. This is people like us. There is a fog of war there. But at the same time, I think they have something to contribute to the scholarship of the battle and some very original accounts and perceptions by guys who were actually there.
And we do, of course, the name of the book is We Fought at Gettysburg, so we do cover what they went through July 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. But you don't start at July 1st. You go back, I'm assuming, the history of the regiment in Chapter 1, the Fairfield County Regiment.
Right.
That makes sense.
Right.
Then the disaster at Chancellorsville, the hard road to Gettysburg, and then July 1st. When were they mustered in?
They were mustered in September 1862. And
how many did they have on the roll?
1,000.
1,000, like they're supposed to.
1,030 or something, right?
Now they get to Gettysburg.
They got 386 or something. Like
yes, 369 men. Okay. 17 officers, 369 men.
Okay, then that's right. If I wrote it, it's right.
At least according to what you wrote.
I used a lot of Busey. If Busey,
Gary Busey.
Yeah. So I used
not Gary Busey.
Not Gary Busey.
No, it's an actor.
No. But Busey and Busey, which who I like,
which everybody should have in their library,
right? And and numbers are. Let me tell you something about numbers. We talked about this before. I don't like numbers.
No.
They obscure so much. Sometimes numbers really obscure the humanity of event.
Yeah.
And they're just something that you can argue about.
I was just talking about this with somebody the other day. They're like, "Oh man, you're really churning out a lot of stuff lately, and doing great and everything." I'm like, so yeah, I said, but I need a break. Like mentally, I need a break because I went from looking at numbers, right, and just looking at numbers. Not going any deeper than the number. Yeah. 7,500 dead. And
that's a very low estimate.
I know. And then somewhere along the line, I don't know where, and I think this has to do with just being over 40 and kind of
baby.
Well, no, but I think like
you just called me your mother. Don't give me that 40 crap.
Well, you're not. No, but I'm saying is something happened in my head when I hit 40. And my heart, I started to be a little more sensitive and actually care. Oh. And so now these numbers, I realize that that's not only an individual person who died, but that represents how many dozens of others back home who don't have that person in their life anymore. Right. And it's just all tragedy. It's all depressing. Right. It's all sad. And when you deal with tragedy day in and day out, eventually you need a break, but I don't know what else I'm interested in. So I got to find another hobby. But anyway, so now tell us a little bit about the history of the 17th. So they're not even in service for a year by the time of the Battle of Gettysburg. They've lost 70%-ish, or 60-something% of their men.
Which is typical.
Right, which is
very
normal.
Typical attrition level.
Were they in a lot of battles?
No. They were in, they missed Antietam.
So, okay.
And they wound up in the Mud March, which, was a disaster. And that was, and then the first time they really saw the elephant was Chancellorsville.
Right.
And Chancellorsville is a disaster. But let me just talk about the origin of the regiment. It's a very unusual Connecticut regiment. It's the only Connecticut regiment that was formed strictly from...
Keep going. I'm just adjusting the mic to get
strictly from a